Welcome back to Panel Days Superheroes Ahoy. My name is Tushar. So today for a different kind of video on Kalki the movie. So Kalki 2898 AD, the movie is directed by Nag Ashwin, who's the director who has made two three movies. I have not seen Yevade Subramaniam or Mahanati, though I have heard about it. He has made this ambitious science fiction epic. It has been in the making for a few years for multiple reasons. I think it was one of the big projects that after COVID was one of the films that was highly anticipated because of multiple reasons. It has Prabhas, it has Amitabh Bachchan, it has Deepika Padukone in the main league, and it kind of mixes science fiction, new world building with the Indian epic like Mahabharat, and it has been doing great. I my thoughts into Kalki were mixed, so it took me some time to watch it. As expected, I have come out mixed from it because I had been listening to Kalki's music, the score by Santosh Narayanan, and by listening to the score, I could sense that it is blending in a lot many things, and it might be a case of too many things getting mixed and appearing incoherent. And unfortunately, that's what my views are after watching the movie as well. The movie tries to pull in people from different kind of regions of India, like actors. Obviously, Prabhas is from Andhra. He's a superstar and he's almost a pan-Indian star now. Amitabh Bachchan from Bollywood. Then you have few people like Shobna and Annabelle from Malayalam film industry, and the music director is from Tamil film industry. So it mixes these different people, and then it has a lot of added humor. So you can think of it as like Star Wars kind of world building with the Dune type of backdrop and blending it with the Bahubali sort of mythology. But the difference here being this is not like fictional mythology. This is actually based on Hindu text, the epic Mahabharat. So there is already too much that is there to react to in Kalki, but I will just start. I would just start with what I feel about it. If you call a movie Kalki, uh, my going in, my expectation would be you show me the Dashavatar properly, like you show how important is for the Dashavatar to appear, the 10th reincarnation of Lord Vishnu God in into the proceeding, and how special that is. But in Kalki, I felt that that aspect was not really taken care of. I felt that 30-40 minutes of the movie were easily wasted. I mean, I'm talking about me as an audience. I don't really care about what what the mainstream audience thinks, but for me as an audience, I mean, when it starts off, the world building is good. You see a dystopian Kashi. You see that that's the last hope in the world, and everyone is moving there to Kashi, and running around for these rewards or bounties, and somehow trying to pawn off items and get entry and for safety of their loved ones. So this is the kind of setting, and in there you see these characters being introduced. uh, there you see the character of Prabhas, who's the Bhairava character. He's like a goofy Johan Solo kind of bounty hunter. He has an android robot called Buji, and he has this whole funny stick where he's not on the right or the wrong side. He just goes wherever money takes him, and his ultimate dream or ambition is to enter the complex. So complex is like this place which has sucked in resources from the entire world and built this kind of Shangri-La kind of land, and where everyone wants to go. You could parallel it to a modern day mall, like a shopping mall, which is huge, and where you go in and you get escape from the traffic and your, you know, normal work life stress and so on. So this is the complex. This is the central character of Bhairava. This is his sidekick, and you see a lot of Prabhas humor here. You can see that there is a lot of attempt that is being done to add to humor. There's a lot of Telugu film industry in jokes, and there is Ram Gopal Verma, there is Rajamouli, and there is like so many things that are more kind of working if you are a Telugu film audience. Coming to the Mahabharat bit, now this is something serious. Bahubali, I'll obviously compare it to Bahubali because if I start comparing it to Star Wars and Dune, then it'll sound like a rant that it's like a cheap kind of production of imitation or a spoof of those movies. So I would compare it to something more Indian. So Bahubali, what it gets right is this whole mythology. It does not really gets mixed up in this whole messaging, right? It tells the story of kings and queens and intrigue and in a very fantasy kind of way. So the fantasy element of Bahubali was out there. But in Kalki, the fantasy element is not really there because I, as an audience, like I saw this year the Lilo Joe's Pellicerri movie with Mohanlal. The reason I liked it because it was unabashed fantasy. It did not really shy away from showing fantasy or those larger sequences. Here is just a Telugu mass movie at the end of the day. Kalki. There is not much fantasy. The director, the whole movie is more interested in showing Prabhas in his superhero Masi avatar than trying to show any element of intrigue or fantasy, or there is some treasure hunting, or even the temple in which Ashwatthama is been there from 6,000 years is not really shown with that much of an interest. You can see the director is not really interested in those things. He shows the dystopian setting and you do have the high production standard, but there is not much wow factor in all of that. And this whole thing goes on, and there is this another aspect of Supreme Yaskin, who's the villain played by Kamal Hassan. You don't really see him. He's like a Dune villain. Much of his work is being done by a commander played by Shashwat Chatterjee, and all those parts were good. The whole operation bits, and the whole there was some good writing in there in those bits. It reminded me a bit of Thor or Black Panther or some of the Marvel movies in which you see good villains. Those bits were good. And then you have this whole lab experiment kind of thing where they're trying to find a serum that gives Supreme Yaskin his power. So he's searching for something like a longevity or a fountain of youth kind of thing because he's dying. So that aspect is good. But then again, for a science fiction fantasy which is on the light side, this whole thing becomes too dark. You're trying to show this whole experiment, pregnancy bits, and I think it could have been shown through a graphic sequence, just like animation sequence, much easier rather than going into the details and all that. So that was what I felt about this whole experiment aspect. And then coming to Prabhas character himself, it's not, this character is like very loose thread in this whole movie. Deepika's character is good because you reveal less. So when you reveal less, there is an element of intrigue. But with Prabhas character, it's like anything goes. Sometimes he's beating up villains, sometimes he's having a drink, sometimes he's questioning what's right, what's wrong. So the good thing about Han Solo in Star Wars, if you're writing that kind of a goofy bounty hunter, is that you reveal less, you leave something to the imagination. But here it's like I think the movie spends easily 1 hour, 40 minutes or an hour just to into Prabhas character and his whole uh, his whole dynamic and so on. So I really thought that could be cut. And one interesting aspect of movie that could have been explored was this whole chase sequences. They show Shambhala, which is like again like a Bhutan kind of world, Tibet or Bhutan kind of this place that is hidden amidst the mountains. And anytime they show in movies like a hidden place, that's going to get attacked. So that was there, and Shambhala sequences are good. The background was a little less loud in those sequences. You get the sense kind of out there, and a bit about fantasy. But then again, it just goes back to those same scenes of Amitabh Bachchan and trying to protect Sumati, Deepika's character. And then again, you spend very less time. Shobana is there as kind of protector and the head of Shambhala, and this was again, it will remind you of when in Star Wars they go to a different planet, and you can already see that there is some intrigue and backstabbing going on there. So apparently everyone has liked the second half of the movie more than the first half. uh, Contrarily, I like the first half more because you at least get a sense of some spacing in between, right? Like there is this character, then there is this world, and there is Hindu Mahabharat elements and so on. But in the second half, it's just like action, and this action is good. I mean, for a while, it's good, like for 15-20 minutes. But when it goes on for like an hour and a half, and the background music is just unbearable, it's so jarring. And even if it was just working on a confrontation level between characters, it would have been fine. But here it's just like hero worship. You see the movie move away from this basic tenet of world building and science fiction and mythology into just celebrating Prabhas. And it's like almost so desperate that, look, this is a superstar who hasn't delivered a hit in the last couple of years, so we will try to do whatever we can to make this work. So that was again kind of I didn't work for me. Another thing was, you always see Prabhas, one aspect of his character is he keeps on thinking of going to the complex. So the director heavily relies on his acting and his expressions, and he doesn't deliver much there. So instead of that, it could have been, like a sequence, like a throwaway sequence where he got a dream of complex. So like it could have been shown like a dream sequence where Bhairava is dreaming of being in the complex. What instead you get is he's always talking like blank eyed about the complex, and he's like wowed about it, and it really didn't does not look convincing. And to make it worse, you have this whole sequence in the complex with Bhairava and like character called Roxy, played by Disha Patani. It's like one of the most stupid sequences of the movie, because it's nothing. I mean, it's just like very incoherent element in a movie. It's like in Thor 3, there was this whole sequence on this bizarro kind of planet. So it reminded me of that. It didn't work there, it doesn't work here as well. Instead of this kind of love interest, as a girl who is after Prabhas, and he instead wants to use her to get to the complex, you could have shown me a kind of parallel strong female character who is equally like action oriented, and like this to and fro. That would have worked more. Something like Guardian of the Galaxy movies, right? So that's also something that I mean, there's too many things that didn't work for me in Kalki, and when I think of it, I just feel unbearable pain with all those loud music sequences. Again, so this is all about Kalki. I mean, as a movie, if it's working, it's fine. I mean, that's what the mainstream audience want. But for me, if you give me a simpler movie that was like 2 hour or few minutes long, and not this overstretched nonsense about that this is our hero, and this is actually he could be a god also, but he's not, and then there is a cliffhanger and so on. So by the time all those things actually come, I was thoroughly tired. I just wanted to get out of the theater. So that was about Kalki. I wanted to share my thoughts, and there are some good things in there, but definitely not a movie which is like one of the best things ever. So we kind of overdo this thing about like pushing the envelope and so on. Like never has a movie been seen so far in Indian cinema. Give me Bahubali any day, give me Magadhira any day. Like be goofy, be flawed, but at least give me something with an element of joy, with a streak of fun in it. This was not fun at all. One of the examples of why I'm saying that is because in the introduction it's scene of Prabhas Bhairava, he's like beating up villains very reluctantly, like typical reluctant superhero kind of thing. And then while he's beating them, immediately you hear this very loud and obnoxious song with Diljit Dosanjh. I don't know why that Punjabi song starts playing all of a sudden. I know they are trying to do a Guardian of the Galaxy there, but first of all, the song was awful, and secondly, it didn't work in there. You need to have a popular number there in such a sequence, and just didn't work with Santosh Narayan's jarring kind of epic music. So this is just one of the examples where the film just completely loses it. So Ashwin, if he wants to create like a universe, I would think that he would need to explore some more original aspects, some kind of spin-off or some interesting story which is much away from this whole, pitting Amitabh Bachchan against Prabhas, like two superstars of the Indian film industry and so on. Again, many people like Amitabh Bachchan and love Amitabh Bachchan in this, but I didn't, because in fact, I could say that in a very milder way, like he did work in some of the scenes, but then again, it's not really. I don't think they put in any effort. It's just like Amitabh Bachchan is just doing his own thing, what he does in every movie since last like 5 decades or so, and he just speaks those difficult lines which sound cool, and then there's a song that he sings and it's just like you want to run away from it. It's so jarring and loud. So I mean, for a actor his age, he's got a good role. He really chews the scenery, and so. But at the fight sequences, confrontation between him and Prabhas go on way too long. There is this digital mm, where they show him younger, like in a digital kind of mode, and graphics that just look mediocre. So overall, like Kalki 2898 AD, kind of just about worked for me. 6 out of 10. I'm happy that I didn't spend a lot on it, like in IMAX or so, because whatever mode I saw it on was like loud enough for me. Not really looking forward to sequel. For people who like Kalki, go for it. I expected much more than this. If you really want to enjoy a movie that is really worth your money, if you want to really see something original, then go for Malai Kottai Valiban. That is a movie that is available on Hotstar. That is something that really is like, if you really call it an Indian based fantasy, watch that. If you want to see a superhero based Hindu text or epic based connections, watch Hanuman, which blends in your superhero elements and blends it with Indian epics. So, but Kalki 2898 AD didn't really work much for me. So that's all for me. Hope you like this kind of review video, and do share your thoughts. And thank you for watching Panel Day. See you in the next one.